Hello, plant friends. Hope you guys are all doing well out there in real life land. So, in this episode, Sue Lynn is joining us again and talking about more of her underrated plants. Sue Lynn talked about in last episode prayer plants, Marantas, the Calathea family, telling us why they are so underrated these days. And yes, enjoy this episode.
Hi everyone, my name is Sue Lynn and I am a plant grower, a houseplant enthusiast living in Montreal, Canada. I do have a houseplant Instagram. It's called The Jungle Asian. I began seriously getting into houseplants probably, I would say around 2014 or so it hasn't been that long. Before that, I always loved plants, I always grew up around plants, but I never thought of myself as a collector. And I remember when I first joined the hobby properly, I was going to places like my local nursery. I did do some, ordering online, of course, but what I thought was a very reasonable price back then for houseplants was maybe around $20 or so for the average houseplant. And nowadays, we're talking, that's going to get you a very basic plant. And the plants that we're all after sometimes are in the hundreds, if not thousands. This is fun and exciting, but it's not a very sustainable way of chasing a hobby. Sometimes it can become quite overwhelming. So I think it's absolutely amazing, absolutely necessary to talk about plants that are a lot more affordable, plants that we can get, everyone can own, and enjoy it. Yeah. So the couple of plants that I wanted to mention that I think are so cool include the Peperomia cristata, or string of turtles. Yeah, string of turtles, and you can see it has its little inflorescence spikes going on. It's a really easygoing plant. It's not let's say my fastest growing Peperomia, and I have to be careful not to overwater it, but it's really chill. And I love Peperomia. I don't have enough of them. I think I only have 3 Peperomia right now. They're really beautiful. They're not big plants, so they work well for maybe small spaces, and they have so much variety, which is so cool. So when you start collecting plants, you get really excited by the subtle differences. Well, with the Peperomia, you have differences that they don't tend to be that subtle. You can get a lot. So yeah, so this one's kind of got a nice, beautiful trailing habit. So if you love hanging plants, this might be your kind of deal. Treat it as a succulent. Okay. All right. Whoop. This guy aside for now. This is another little Peperomia. This one can get big. Like bigger, bushier. This is the Peperomia argyria, or watermelon peperomia, and you can see why it's called that. Looks like a mini little watermelon. It also has its inflorescence spikes going on. I bought this with, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 leaves, and look at it now. I've only had this for a couple of months, and it's done so well for me. I neglect this. So this is the theme of some of my underrated plants, is I tend to be quite neglectful of them, and they seem to really like it. I find the Peperomia, like these guys, the string of turtles, the cristata, and this argyria, they prefer to get a little bit more light. So indirect light, so somewhere in moderate to high levels of indirect light. They can tolerate less light, but the leaves will not get as big, and they'll grow a little bit slower. And then this guy, oh boy. Okay, so this is the Peperomia caparata, yeah. I believe this one is the burgundy ripple, and I forget about this plant a lot. I remember it when it's completely collapsed. Maybe every 3 weeks or so, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy behind the couch, I should water him. And it perks right up. It's absolutely stunning. There's so many variety of these plants. You get these frosted, beautiful silvery ones. You get ones that are variegated. Absolute stunners. Super easy to look after. They're super cheap. I got this, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, and I want to say it was probably in like the $15 mark, but you can even get them for cheaper than that. They're good. Oh, and yeah, so you can see dropped a couple leaves because they do this though. I find Peperomia, they're a little bit delicate in that sense if you touch them a lot like I tend to do. Yeah, so there's actually one Peperomia that I want just because of its fuzzy texture. It's a Peperomia incana. I did see one recently for sale for I think it was $6, and I'm on a plant no buy right now, so I didn't buy it, but I really want it. Whenever I talk about Peperomia, I'm also reminded of Pilea, not because they look that similar, but because of how diminutive they tend to be. So I have a couple of Pilea, but I just have two here with me. The first one is a little bit worse for wear because, well, to be honest, I haven't been looking after it too much. I should probably remove these dead leaves before I do a video. So this one I had pruned back maybe about 2 weeks ago just because I'm trying to propagate it because they do tend to get a little bit wrangly. But this one is absolutely stunning. It is a Pilea, and this one is, I think this one's called the aluminum plant, that's common name. It is really, really easygoing. They will tell you when they need to be watered because they just kind of go, droop a little bit. Absolutely pretty, like the leaves are beautifully textured. They have these lovely silver stripes. You can really get into them because there's so many different types of Pilea. Now this one is another one. It's a little Pilea, but you can see how it shares some characteristics as the last one. It's got those silvery stripes. This one is a lot more, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe the texture, but it's almost like a silicone-y feeling with a tiny bit of, almost like a silicone-y, rubbery feeling. This one has really grown on me. It got a little unwell while back because I think it came with some mealybugs, but those are dealt with. It's real cute. It's real nice. I think this one is called the Pilea Pan Am. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, this one's cool. This one's cool. I have another one that is a kind of a silvery one, but it's got some kind of bug problem right now, and it's just hanging out all by its lonesome in another room. So I'm not going to touch that right now. But yeah, so these are some of my plants that I think are a little bit underrated, that have a lot of potential to be explored. You can get really, really nerdy about them, and they're cheap, they're accessible. Thank you once again, Jimmy, for including us in this conversation, and happy planting, everyone.
Thank you, Sue Lynn, for another episode. Thank you so much for joining us again and sharing some more underrated plants with us. Guys, definitely, follow her on Instagram. Definitely reach out, give her a thank you. And if any of you guys out there want to be on camera, want to share any of your plants, tips, setups, basically anything, reach out to me on Instagram and we'll make something happen. And till then, till next time, happy planting.